What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts? Welcome to a bucket of track talking fried chicken or chicken, whatever, a part of the Lactic Acid Network. I am going to apologize because I did put food in my mouth as I was talking because that's how excited I am to bring to you another edition of this YouTube exclusive show. So be sure to follow Lactic Acid with Dominique Smith on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you get all the up-to-date episodes when they drop. I have a legend. I have one of the best javelin throwers in the United States, screw that, in the world, who is going to be my prize guest. And we're going to talk a little bit about the javelin, I promise you. It's track talk, so, a little track got to get into it. But this is a serious episode with a serious topic that America, global people, you need to listen to this. But Ariana Ince, no stranger to the show, friend of the show, one of the coolest people I've literally ever met in my 28 years of existence. She joins me today. How are you doing, fam?
I'm wonderful. I live in Colorado now, so I have to wear long sleeves inside in October. And as
It's
you can see, I've really decorated the place.
it's
Just gone above and beyond with
it,
my interior decorating.
oh my
But
gosh. It
otherwise, I'm
is
doing great.
it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Minimalism, I think, is the.
Minimalism. Yes. Listen, as the kids say, less is more.
Mhm.
So I am totally down with that. You got a window, you have a fan. I wish it
Yeah.
were I wish it were that cold in Orlando. It's so bad because I know it's like cold in Colorado, but this episode is going to be released on Wednesday, and on Wednesday is like the first time I could wear like long sleeves and a jacket, which is sad because it's only going to be 71 degrees outside, but I'm so excited.
I know what temperature it is right now
Cold.
here. It's 52.
Oh my gosh.
It's 52. That's the high for today.
Wow.
But it'll be nice later this week. So also on Wednesday, it's supposed to be 71. So
Oh,
I
snap. Okay, Colorado was like, listen, we got the Wings episode, so let's twin with Florida. I'm with it.
I
That's
did
I'm
get spicy. I did get spicy wings, so maybe that's what's happening. I don't know if
oh,
that's.
oh snap. So show the people your chicken as we
It's
gosh, this is
it's just okay. I'm not super impressed as of yet
oh let me see. Yeah,
with
this right
wings and
bad boy right here.
just wings. I already ate all the curly fries. But
Okay,
yeah, we're
so
looking at some jalapeno cilantro, I think is what I
ooh,
got, or jalapeno lime. I don't trust
okay.
spicy food in Colorado. I don't think it's actually spicy.
Mm-mm.
I
No,
as a Texan and like
no,
that's
no,
not
no.
spicy food.
No, this is like it's like the assistant to the assistant regional manager kind of spice. So it's not even
This is the Dwight Schrute of spicy food, absolutely.
yeah, so no. This is the white. You're used to Angela. So
Yes, very
so
spicy.
so with that, I went to Wingstop and got I don't even know what I got, but they're wings. And
Okay.
let me say this about Wingstop. If you've never had ranch, don't I love Hidden Valley, it's the OG. Go to Wingstop and get their ranch. Pay $4.25 for their large side of ranch. That will set you free. I'm not kidding. That's some good ranch. So with that being said, cheers, my friend.
Cheers. I do love a good ranch. I'm not going to deny you that. That's good stuff.
Mm.
Mm,
Oh my gosh.
not spicy, but delicious.
That's sad. That's disappointing. Colorado, you have to do better.
I
You
don't. Maybe
have
it's
to.
like an altitude thing. I don't know. Hard to say.
Okay, so the spice has problems with the altitude as well.
Maybe I'm just giving them excuses at this point.
So
I know
they're
I've
like,
been here a
yo,
month and I'm already trash talking. I'm just.
listen, you don't talk trash, you just state facts. And
I
so,
better way to put it. I would agree. But see, I
yeah,
came prepared. I already know. I know my stuff.
yes. So she's a Texan. I did have some sriracha here because I'm obsessed with sriracha now.
I think everyone
Listen,
goes through that phase. They're like, you know what's really good? This one spice for everything.
it's like it's sweet and sour sriracha, but I've so pho. I keep calling it pho. I listen, that has some slappable level goodness to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I put some sriracha in that. I'm like, ooh, sweet Lord, sweet chariot. Swing low, sweet chariot. But I'm getting excited because we actually have a very, very good show today. This is the athletes edition, and you're the first athlete, so I'm excited about this topic.
All right.
If you watched our podcast episode, I already spit out some facts that everybody needs to listen to. Some good advice. One thing we talked about that you also need to listen to is The Goodness of the Good Place, the show
The best.
of The Good Place. So my question to you to get it started, and I said it on the show, but I'm actually curious now that I've watched the entire show. Who is your spirit character?
See, and I thought about this too, because I don't even remember what I said now, but you said that I was Janet.
Yeah.
And I thought about that some more, and I was like, I think I want to be Janet. Like, I want to be that level of, I can give you all the information and it's like weirdly endearing and not annoying. But I still think I'm a little bit of Eleanor. Like, I really do.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
Like, there's just enough of like just a little bit of an edge, a little bit rough around the edges. Trying my best, but probably still going to do it in a way that morally is gray. But the good thing that needs to happen will happen, and I will accomplish the goal.
Wow, I love the honesty.
I'm not afraid to say that about myself.
But here's the thing: Eleanor was like, she ran the place. Like
Also
she balled out. Like, it's not as if she didn't ball out. You know, it's so sad. I feel like I'm like low-key cheating without the nervous breakdowns. Let me ask you that. And I was thinking about that in the store. Have you known anybody to have such nervous breakdowns like Chidi? Like, it's like he should be near a porta potty like 24/7 because
right. I don't know anyone with that level of anxiety. Quite frank, or that they are willing to display that level of anxiety in front of me, because I'm probably Eleanor and they know that I would just not be about it. No, I know plenty of people that have that level of rigidity in, like, I went to school with some people like that level of rigidity of, this is the way it is, this is how it should be, very black and white, these are the rules and that sort of stuff. So I'm aware of that, but it didn't come with accompanying stomach aches and horrendous panic attacks.
Chidi had to have colitis. Like, he had to have colitis. Like, he needed to be on a pill or something.
Just constant antacid all the time.
I honestly, if he was an athlete, I would say, like, have an NIL deal with like Tums or something.
Yeah,
like
and go spend a bunch of time with a sports psych, please.
But seriously, and do some exercise. I mean, he was kind of jacked on the show, but
that was because Eleanor made that joke for like 2 seasons. Also, spoiler alert for The Good Place. I feel like we're just gonna have to ruin. I don't know how to talk about The Good Place.
No, we're going to ruin it. I don't care. Okay,
spoilers. If you haven't watched The Good Place yet, you need to, and skip ahead to whatever time. I don't know. We'll figure it out. When he's the professor and he's like walking through the campus without a shirt on, I was like, he is jacked.
He is. He is.
Not opposed to it. I'm glad that we did this.
I'm glad that we did this. Okay.
I'm glad that we did this.
You are Eleanor Shellstrop. Oh my gosh. But I think you like beer more than you like margaritas. Or you would like beer more than margaritas.
Yeah, I do love a good margarita. But also, I wouldn't have ever bought the, like, what was it they called her? The skinny girl or sad girl margarita mix or something.
The sad girl.
I would squeeze my own limes. Like, I would be a little bit better about it. But I do love a good margarita.
Looking back on that show, what was, and I know this is a basic question. What did she say? You basic or whatever when she said before?
You basic.
You basic. The one thing about that show, and that is a side comment, if there was something that I wish was real, remember in season 1, when they had the drink machine, but it like spewed out shrimp and all of that stuff. That's me right there. Listen,
Yeah.
it would spew out these wings. That's what's. Let me
Oh,
just take.
for sure. Absolutely. Um, if I could have one thing from the show, I early on in season one also the frozen yogurt store where they talked about like the different flavors, but it was like one of the flavors was like full cell phone battery, and it's like it tastes the way you feel when your phone is fully charged, or like stuff like that, like the feeling you get after like a really good nap or something like that. I
Oh
would want
boy.
that yogurt store. Not ice cream, because I'm still not a huge ice cream fan, but if I could make it taste like those feelings, and then people, then really you really can eat your feelings even though you're not supposed to.
No, yours would be potato chip. You would make a potato chip
A
factory.
potato chip yogurt. Oof. That probably
It
exists somewhere.
it does. Those freaking Lays of all the things that they make. But now that we've watched it, what's the biggest takeaway that you think made that show relatable to you and just makes it relatable to people?
Um, I think it was mostly like everyone in that show was so different, but they all learned something and grew as characters and people without losing who they were as a character.
Yeah.
Like it was actual genuine character development with
Yep.
depth for everyone, and it made it much more realistic. And everyone was different, but everyone worked together to solve a common goal and all that sort of stuff. And I I think it was kind of that, and just that very like non-judgmental way of addressing problems in society
Mm-hmm.
without being like, you have to fix this and this is terrible. And just a way at looking at like doing a show about the afterlife and finding a way to make it not offensive to any religion or like promote one religion over another was also very clever and brilliant. I was really impressed by that the whole time.
I think people who like Chick-fil-A may not have liked that show.
I mean,
But it was so funny. It's like, do you realize like
yes and
there's
no.
a chicken sandwich out there that is
Yes,
that
oh, that's true. That was if you
that
eat this chicken sandwich, it means you hate gay people.
yeah, like I was like, that is like I don't think of that.
It's so delicious. Yeah.
That is so good. And they're like, oh my gosh. I
Right.
agree. I agree with that. I think in so many shows, what amazes me, that much character development in only 4 seasons
It was incredible.
was just
I mean, Jason was still infuriatingly dumb
yeah.
pretty much the whole time. I was that was the one where I was like, you could have gone a little further, but
You could have done so much more. Like
but
that's
also
just
it is what it is. He was a good foil for a lot of things, so it worked out.
but it's like Jason had such a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like no saint like I remember watching the end of the show and I think she went to take Cheaty to the door
Mm-hmm.
which you just go get lost in the woods and everything. um and then Jason is like hiding there and he had been hiding there for like quite a while and everything because he wanted to give Janet the
Yeah.
lock,
Like the
which it was
I don't
yeah,
remember.
necklace or whatever, which
Mm-hmm.
oddly enough, I was watching the post show recap with Seth Meyers. He actually stole that from set and gave it to her in real life.
Oh, really? That's
He
super
did.
sweet.
He did. It was incredible. But everybody on that show, it's like you either know somebody like that, you're either friends with somebody like that, you either don't like somebody like that, or, or you relate to one of those characters.
Right.
Like because every single one of them had oddly enough, it that show deals with trauma in such a unique way that like I don't think gets enough credit because like Eleanor, you think she's this bad and bougie person who hates everything and you know it's just incredible. But she had so much pain that she was masking and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, and that was part of the brilliance of that show too, is like helping. That character development came about in the sense of you got to see like why a character was the way they were, and why they were maybe making decisions that they made, and how they came to, come to some of the conclusions that they did based upon things that had happened in their real life, which is very real with everyone else too, right? Like in
Yeah.
everyone's day to day, like there's a reason that we all do the things that we do based upon our past experiences, whatever those may be. And you can either like just blame being a child of divorce, or like you always got shown up by your sister, or things like that, or you can recognize that and then grow and make changes and not just sit and blame your circumstance.
Is there a character that you wish that they explore more?
um
I wanted to see more of the judge of Maya Rudolph's
or
character.
of the judge.
Yeah.
I won't sing it, but when she sang "Gonna Erase the Earth," I laughed so hard.
I can't sing it.
I won't sing it either. I don't need. Yeah, that might come with like a explicit warning for like ear damage if I start singing.
Hey, it's okay. I know, some ear doctors want you to do it. So some ear, nose, and throat specialists. So
Yeah,
ain't
there
no
you
wrong with
go. Um, I don't know. I thought they did a really good job of like exploring every character's story. I really liked Tahani's story
it. Yeah.
as a child, and like why she made the decisions that she made, and etc.
It is. Tahani was such an interesting character because, like I said, you either know somebody like Tahani, or you don't like somebody like Tahani, or you are Tahani.
I think it's probably the second of the three of those
Oh,
for
yours
me.
is. But it's like, I did not think that she would be the one to end up being an architect. So if you did
Right,
not watch the show, this is a major spoiler
right.
about the end. Um, I didn't think she would be the one to be an architect, but it's like the most selfish one ended up being one of the most selfless ones, because she wanted to change the whole infrastructure of
Right.
like humanity and society.
And that's the
Like,
growth part of it, right?
another thing that I found interesting, this one was what messed me up on the finale. When Eleanor was trying to save Chidi, prevent him from entering his final rest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what got me the next day. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is like but anyway, when she was like, I don't want to be alone. I've tried being alone. I lived my entire life being alone. And now if you leave, then I go back to that. I'm like, dang, why you had to do that? Like, what are you doing?
Laid it on him pretty good.
And so just like, and I was like, but dang, like to me, I'm like, I have very introverted characters. I'm okay, being by myself, but it's like that like pierces you to your soul, because her character development, really, even in season 3, you didn't see that from her.
Right.
But
Yeah.
now it's like, wow. Like I like little nuances like that, because I never would have thought. And then she was the one that used Chidi's teachings to free him. And then she goes back, and this would have been an interesting character, but I don't know what they could have done with that. Mindy St. Clair. Like, that was the one odd thing about that show. The middle the middle place. And there is a show
Yeah.
called The Middle, which I love, but it's like, just even that selflessness to go back and try to save her. Now, the only thing is, I would have loved to see if they had shown Michael's final trajectory. Because what would have sucked is if he went to Earth and and did not make it, ended up in the bad place with Sean.
He knows the rules.
He
He knows
knows,
he literally has like a calculator for the point totals. Like he knows exactly what they are, and he's still like,
but yeah, and it's like, but they were like, there's no guarantee and everything. And then even Janet did not want to let him go. Like
mm-hmm,
she's like, I put enough money in your bank account, so you have enough to live on, but you're not like a spoiled rich kid or something like that.
mm-hmm.
So it's just like a robot turned like to somebody who has like feelings and emotions. I was like, that's like so human because there's like a lot of robotic people, but they're like, dang, like they do have a heart.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone does. It's how you perceive the way that they present themselves and what they're comfortable presenting to anyone. And yeah, again, I went to school with a number of what I would call robotic people. Um, and it's just like they did care, but like you had to like wait, like you had to like kind of filter through some of that stuff, and then you could figure out like, okay, like your love language is like acts of service, or like you want to do these sorts of things to like show that this is how you show that you care, and that's how you're comfortable doing that because that's how you were brought up, and that's why you're a robot, and that's okay. But care as long as you're growing, doesn't matter.
I got a tough question for you.
Uh-oh. Get a wing first. Go
Just
for it.
get a wing.
So I can be ready.
All right. Which Good Place character would be the best javelin thrower? Which
Probably
good
Janet. Because Janet would be like, I just watched 80,000 hours of javelin videos. And this is in the last 2 seconds. And I have determined that the best way to throw it is this. And because she's kind of a robot, she would just nail it. And she's pretty tall, got long arms, brown hair.
Oh, so she fits.
I think those are the things that you need to be good at the javelin, personally. But
okay. So what you're saying is Janet is the most like you, which
yeah.
would make her the best javelin thrower.
I'm just, not correlation, not causation.
Okay.
But...
I would say Jason.
Oh, he was good at throwing those Molotov cocktails.
Exactly. And so he could get enough depth behind the javelin to really like, and I feel like with the javelin, it's one of those events, and this what you may have run into this as a competitor, somebody who may not exactly know what they're doing, but they just chuck one up and it's like, you know what, forget them, man. Like I've been training like 32 years for this, and you just go out and you drop like 80 feet.
There are definitely people in the sport. And the hard part about javelin too, right, is it is very technical, which is why I hesitate to say like Jason would be good at it, right? Because I think he'd be one of those like flash in the pans, or he'd have like an innate sense of how to do it. But getting better might escape him because of the technical aspect and the focus required to do so.
Yeah.
So I think his ceiling wouldn't be as high based up just beyond what he naturally could do. But yeah, I mean that's a thing in every sport, right? Is there are these people that are really good, and because they're good, they have a sense of what they think is working, but they maybe don't. And I'm not necessarily excluding myself from this either. But they have a sense of what they think is working or what they think they're good at, and sometimes
Right.
it's completely off, and everyone around them's going, no, the thing that you're saying you're bad at is actually the reason that you're throwing far. So it's fine that you don't understand that,
but keep doing it.
But when you start changing that thing that you're good at because you think that's what you should work on, things probably won't go the way that you want them to, and you won't know why.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why you get those people who are like really good and then maybe not as good, but that, just because figuring out what actually their strength is
So I would have to
doesn't.
change. I guess I'll have to change my answer then. Janet wouldn't be fair because
All
Janet
right,
would.
so how about of the four people, who would be the best? I think it would be Chidi.
Mm-mm.
Surprisingly jacked.
Ari, Cheetah
What?
would scratch every time.
He'd be like, oh, I don't know if that's good enough.
He would run up to the runway and it's like, nope, nope, can't release it, and then just like go back or go over to the line or something like that.
Or he'd run out of time,
Yeah,
is what you're
so
saying.
he
He'd
scratched
time
every.
out.
He would scratch every time.
Okay, that's a good point.
Eleanor is not that like athletic, but she has like the moxie
Right.
to do it. Jason Tahadi is just eliminated from the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if we're doing post race, post meet refreshments or something like that, then
Like hosting a party, absolutely.
yeah, like she would have been perfect at NACAC.
She organized the meet, probably, right?
She'd be a great meet organizer. That is one thing that I would give to her. Yeah, she would be a great meet organizer.
Absolutely.
USA Track and Field really should reach out to her and stuff for future events because I don't know, she would do a great job. No, I can't change my answer. I would have to say, well, what about Michael? We haven't even talked about Michael yet.
I don't know. He doesn't seem super comfortable in his meat suit.
That's true. But I mean, what's stopping him? Is it illegal to show up in a suit and throw?
I mean, no. I really think it's Janet. If we're gonna go outside the four humans,
Fine.
I feel like it's got to be Janet. And if Janet's cheating, then you're probably right. I would probably say Jason from the outset. Maybe Eleanor could like catch him,
That's true.
but she would be the next likely contender. Because I do agree. You were right. I was wrong. Chidi would never actually have a valid throw.
No, he scratched every single time. Tahani would have a mark before Chidi did.
Yeah.
Won't
She
be a
would just
good
be like,
mark.
I'm not gonna do this, and like accidentally
Throw
stick
it
it
mark
around. Yeah.
2 feet and everything.
Like, this is
but
barbaric or something. Yeah.
yeah, and then Chidi is just a DNS.
You're right.
Like
You're
the
right.
entire time. That is cheating.
You're completely right.
I know. So now now that we're in javelin, and I said we would talk a little track, you balled out. Like you balled out. 64-36, I think, or 64-63.
38.
I'm sorry.
38.
64-38. My bad. Let me put some
I
respect on
think
the
I don't
distance.
actually now you've got me wondering if it is 64-38.
It was, the sad thing, I wrote about it and I forgot because that's how awesome you were. But you went out with some hardware, ended up getting a medal at NACAC, and I don't know, you just looked like you were having fun out there. In your terms, how did you do it? Like take me through that last stretch when, like, after Worlds, you went on a tear. So yeah.
So after Worlds, I was really frustrated because that was probably one of the easiest finals to make in a long time, just in terms of distance to qualify. I think multiple people made it with 59 meters or something like that, which is not far. Like, a lot of people didn't have a good day. It was a bad day to not have a good day. And I knew that I wanted to finish the season out well. I wanted to do something good. I wanted to, I knew that I wasn't anywhere near my potential. I knew NACAC points were really important for funding and world ranking and all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't necessarily hoping or thinking that I would hit the standard. It was much more about, let's build up some ranking points so that going into next year, I'm like in a little bit better place and I can kind of work on it from there. And I really took a step back and worked a lot with John D'Agata And we kind of actually sat down and tried to really walk through some of that stuff and figure out what went wrong and why it went wrong and how we could fix it. And um, then, like, yeah, I got second NACX in the Bahamas, but it was 59 meters, and that kind of left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. And um, I knew that I was kind of gonna do this big Europe trip because that's what I really wanted to do. I had quit my job in California because I knew when I came back from Europe, I would be moving to Colorado. So I had this like month of free time where I could just go to Europe and like have a great time and throw and just do all this stuff that I feel like international track and field is really supposed to be about.
Yeah, you're supposed to have
Like
fun.
that's like you're supposed to have fun, and I was super excited. So I like just went on this whirlwind tour, like left the Bahamas, went to Finland, and through like 2 days later and was exhausted and somehow pulled out 58, and that was far enough to win that meet. And then I spent a week in the UK training at Loughborough and like met a bunch of fun people there, and got to see and hang out with Chase Ely because that's where she trains, and she's delightful. And then I went from there to Switzerland, and then I did terrible in Switzerland, and I was like, crap, like this is not. It was pouring rain and all sorts of stuff. I won't use that as an excuse. I just didn't do very well. Um,
No, it was raining and it was
it
pouring
was
rain.
it was raining a
So
lot. I think the
listen,
first one I knuckleballed the jav. If you can do that, and it hit me. I think in the back of the head. Something hit me in the back of the head as I let go of
ooh,
it. It was like either my hand. It was a mess. Um, and I really didn't want that to be my last meet of the year. So I kind of fought to get into Zagreb. But in the middle of all of that, I needed somewhere to train. And John D'Agata also coaches Longi. I'm going to say her name wrong, and that's so frustrating. Tasaga. Sorry, Longi, that's probably wrong, and that's
she mean
embarrassing.
she mean
I'm sorry. Like I've known Longi since 2019, and she's just an absolute delight and so fun. And it's
you're
so
like
like she's just
Eleanor trying to say Chidi's last name.
Chidi Aragonye. I'm right. Like
Adegonye.
yeah. I just and now I'm doubting myself. Um, but anyways, John Nagata also coaches her, and she had made the Diamond League final. And there was a great place for me to train and work with him. And then also the added benefit of getting to watch like Kara's last meet was really important to me. So I spent a week in Switzerland just like training and hanging out and seeing a bunch of friends and doing all that sort of stuff. And I think having that really fun week and getting that really good focus training in with D'Agata before going into that meet in Croatia made all of the difference in the world. Like both from a technical aspect, I'm having a blast. Like I'm just in Switzerland for a week, like what, just hanging
Yeah,
out.
just chilling.
So I think that was the biggest part of it, is that I did really start to have fun with it, but I also took the time to put myself in situations where I could succeed. Like I
Right.
made sure to, train with my coach, even if I was overseas, and like be where he was, even if that like meant spending a little bit more money being in Switzerland versus maybe a cheaper European country.
It's worth
Um,
it.
yeah, but it all worked out, right? So at at the end of the day, that's mostly why I save up all my money anyways, is to do those sorts of things. Like go be in Europe for a month. Like I don't need stuff on my walls.
No.
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go to Europe for as long as I can and hang
Yes.
out. So yeah, I was having a good time, and I think that was a major part of it. And I got like Dagata and I got in like a really good groove, like with what we were working on. And um it was really fun to like see all of our hard work come to fruition with that PR and all that sort of stuff. Because I was one of his only athletes that he's ever had that hadn't PR'd at the center yet, and that we were down to like our
Mm.
last chance before I left. So to like get that, and basically almost every athlete that he's had come through there has PR'd, and I didn't want to break that streak, so that was really fun to kind of do as a send off too.
Do you feel like this puts you like this gives you momentum? Because like this is a new year, new me kind of deal. because now moved out to Colorado Springs. You're training under arguably one of the best. And now you have like momentum. Now, granted, me personally, I would live in Europe until it was time to come back to the US and then, go to Budapest and then come back. But do you feel like this, gives you some momentum headed into next year?
I mean, it absolutely does. Like, I've never had the standard going into the next season. So hitting 64 and having I think there's 5 of us that have the standard for next year. Like, that's it.
Mm,
Then they dropped it down, like it's a little bit lower now. I think it's like 6380
yeah,
for 2023. But still, there's only a few of us that have it. But I was already looking at maybe having to go to, like, not have to, maybe going to like Australia or New Zealand for their season in January, February, to try and like pick up some points and kind of get a head start on that so that I could be in a good place again when qualifying came around. But now that I already have the standard, like, I don't have to do some of those little things where I need to like chase points or make decisions based upon what like the meet is ranked or things like that, which is
right.
something that I'm good at, and kind of figuring out the point system. Like, I'm always that person that, like, I got asked after USA's this year, like, do you think you're going to make the team? And I was like, yes, I've done all the math. Like, I know that, like, based on all of this, like, I'm going to be on the team. I came into it knowing that I need to do this to make the team. Like, it's all right there. It's on the internet. You can pull out a calculator and just figure out what you need to do. But I don't have to do that necessarily for this year, and I can just focus on training and getting better and throwing far consistently. And I think that's a huge help. And I can start my season a little bit later and maybe be a little bit more fresh when it comes to championship season versus just hammering away at meets trying to either hit a standard or pick up ranking points. So
This
that's very
this
helpful.
the system to like get on like the team is like the good place system.
It
It seems
is.
like
Yeah.
it's like gosh, it's like it's like in the good place you buy a tomato or orange or whatever, and it's like it's organic, and then it's like negative 10,000 points
Yeah.
because
He was like, well, they actually use pesticides and like they underpaid the workers. And you're like, well, guess I can't do anything.
how many points do you think it would be if you ate a Chick-fil-A sandwich?
um, it's probably negative. I feel like every consumption is negative,
Hmm,
right?
that's true, and this wing is really good.
Just that one
I'm
specifically.
just that one specifically. Um, back to the good place. What season was the most memorable season for you?
I think for me, it was season 2.
Well,
Um, I loved season 2 where they're like on Michael's side, but they're like being sneaky about it. And they're like having to work together, but like they don't know if they trust him and you don't know if you trust him. And just all this back and forth. And the I can't remember now if it was season 1 or season 2, but the episode where they like rebooted them like 30,000 times within the episode, where it's
season
like
two. Oh,
try
season
number 4032, like like shortest time was like 6 seconds. Oh, I sat on the button and restarted the one.
two.
It just I really liked that season. I didn't love season, I forget the season where they all went back to Earth. That one I didn't love as much.
Was that season 3 or 4?
Maybe it was the beginning of season 4. Now I'm
Hmm.
getting them all mixed up. But I definitely know that my favorite episode is the one where he reboots them over and over and over and
And
over
it's
and
like
over again.
try 860. I think it was
Yes.
864.
I think that's right. Yeah. And he's like, this is the one.
There were so many frustrating parts of that show. Who was that arrogant gas bag that came in that was like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I don't remember his name now.
Oh boy.
I feel like every time I rewatch The Good Place, I watch the first 2 seasons, and then I get distracted, and then I come back to it. I'm like, oh, I should rewatch this, and I start over at season 1. So I'm very, very in
One
tune with
and
season
one and
1.
two, one and two, you got it. But
Eleanor's birthday was on Friday. Her birthday is October 14th.
oh man, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that.
I was watching it and I was like, huh.
Happy
Her birthday's on Friday.
we should message Kristen Bell. Happy belated
Happy
birthday, Kristen.
Eleanor's birthday. Yeah.
Happy belated Eleanor's birthday.
She'd
You're
be 40
basic.
today because her birthday is 1982.
That's true. Um, I forgot his name, but he was like, I deserve to be here. It just makes
Yes.
sense. I need to be in the better place. I need to be in the best place.
Privileged white man who enjoys golfing. And what was his
And
name?
oh,
Was it like
was it like
Craig or something?
or Gary or something like that? It was something crazy. It was like some fraternity name.
Yes.
And they were inches and seconds away from like undoing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this, one of the most, there's some intriguing characters. The Frogman was intriguing to me. The dude that was worked in security between the Good Place and
Oh,
Earth
yes.
that loved frogs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
His
like
desk was just covered with frogs at the end of it. Just
and then he was like so sad. He was like, yeah, I got another frog, got another frog. And then Michael brings him a real frog. Oh my gosh, like it's just like somebody brings you a dog, like a puppy or something
yeah,
like
I was, but just how clever is that? That you're just like, we're gonna have a security guard, but his thing is that he really loves frogs. Like, what? How did you come up with that? That has to be based on a real person that
I
they
know.
know, which is even more hysterical to think about.
A tough dude, like a tough
You're right.
guy
A tough guy who's obsessed with frogs.
with frogs. Oh man. No, another intriguing character. I really wanted to know more about Disco Janet.
All of the different iterations of Janet were really good. I really liked.
Bad Janet, bad Janet. Well, the fact that they were able to like change her heart was incredible. Um Sean had a very interesting development. And Vicky was Vicky,
What
Vicky,
is my role here? What am I
what
supposed to
is
be doing?
I
I feel
am
like
an
I feel like I got real Eleanor.
yes, I am
Denise? Who am I supposed to be? What's her
honest,
story?
just like I am an actress and I am not like being utilized to my full potential. Just like, boy.
Yes. I think I want to have a limp. Why would you have a limp? You're in the good place. Like,
He's like, just trust me, I know what I'm doing.
yeah.
And the fact that she was in charge, like they gave all the demons got roles. Like that is just crazy to me. She was an intriguing character to me. Um, and then there were some storylines that the writing was brilliant. Like Chidi dies because an air conditioning unit falls on him as he's walking.
Okay, so what's so funny is that I promise this tangent will come back. I've been on this tear of watching Seinfeld for reasons that are beyond me. Like I've just
Why?
I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know what happened. I was in Switzerland and I was like, I want a show that I could watch and like not necessarily have to look at, but while I do like mobility and stuff, and like like if I am not totally paying attention, it doesn't matter because
Right.
it's not that big of a deal. There are so many little homages to Seinfeld. Like there's an entire episode in Seinfeld about an air conditioning unit and how it's crazy that you can just install these things like because they could just fall on someone and like what if that kills somebody, like what happens. And so
Wow.
like that's how they chose to kill Chidi, but there's
Chidi.
there's like little other stuff in there too about like, oh my gosh, when I was watching season 1 again of The Good Place, I was like, that's a Seinfeld thing. And now I can't remember what they were, which is makes this a terrible story, but the air
No,
conditioning
but they're
unit one
interesting.
specifically, I was like, that's like a direct like joke tied back to this other TV series. And I'm sure there's tons of those peppered in there that I don't even know.
Oh my gosh. I
Not even
mean,
related to Seinfeld, like related to like other stuff.
like some of it has to be like Eleanor dying because she got hit with some shopping carts. Um,
Well, and they like reference Friends a couple of times, like the
yes,
judge does, like, and then she has like a favorite TV show, and I just, yeah, there's so much clever stuff and like little pop culture references in there that I'm sure
it
that it just went completely over my head, and I still adored the TV show. So,
it did, and then there's like little things that it's just like, okay, this is the good place judge, but boy, is she had the hots for cheating, um, and everything. Um, I don't know. I didn't even see. I don't. People come on this show. It's like Seinfeld. I've never watched an
okay,
episode of
I want you to
Seinfeld.
know that literally before August of this year, every time people would reference Seinfeld, I'd be like, I don't get it. I don't think it's funny. I don't know why we keep bringing Seinfeld up. Like, quit talking to me about the soup, like no soup for you or whatever it is that you're saying to
Yes,
me. I don't care. This isn't funny. And then I started watching it and I was like, I hate all of these characters. I don't like any of them. Like, there's nothing endearing about any of them. They're awful, awful, awful people. But man, I keep watching it. Like, I just,
it
I don't
pisses
know.
you off, doesn't it?
It does. I'm like, you don't deserve a single good thing. Like,
No, like, and you know the show that I'm like that now with is King of Queens.
okay.
King of Queens, and everybody loves Raymond.
See, I don't know if I can do Everybody Loves Raymond.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I had to stop watching that show because here's the thing. I would I would willingly go to the bad place than deal with Marie. Like I would just send me down. Like I'm sorry, just send me. I would willingly because I could. I just those three shows are just like I don't understand how people like this stuff. Seinfeld, Raymond, he's just this lazy mama's boy. Uh Robert has issues, but we talk about how the shows tie in. Like I see everybody loves Raymond. Robert is Tahani. Robert
Oh, mhm.
Robert is this cop. Um he is a little he's not as talented as Raymond. Raymond's the big sports writer. He's the baby of the family. He's the mama's boy. Robert was the accident. I mean, that's what they, said. And so Tahani is the same. She's talented, but her sister is like the talented one, and the parents
Mhm.
like will I don't even
Hit them against each other, basically.
yeah, and so like every time like there was the scene in Raymond that reminded me of The Good Place. Raymond was struggling with something. He was like, Ray, you got to let us know when you fail. Like we need to hear it or something like that. And then it's like, oh my gosh, that's like Tahani and her sister.
Mhm.
And then just the fact that now Chidi, I don't understand, and maybe, and I'm not even gonna say that. I was gonna say maybe I need to watch Seinfeld to understand, but I'm sorry, Ari, I can't watch Seinfeld.
I
Um,
want, Dom, I want you to know,
you different.
literally,
You
literally 6 months ago,
that
I
is
would have said the
crazy.
same thing to you about Seinfeld. Maybe 4 months ago, I would have said the same thing to you about Seinfeld. I would like, and part of it, I think, too, is in 2021, for whatever reason, like my training partner at the time was Michael Shuey, and John D'Agata would just quote Seinfeld back and forth to each other ad nauseum. And I was like, I haven't watched the show. I don't think it's funny. I don't understand these jokes. I don't know why you guys are both laughing hysterically. I this I don't get it. And I like hated Seinfeld because of that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, even more so than just like, I don't want to watch this because it doesn't seem that good. And I think something broke in my brain when I was in Europe. I was like, I fine, I'll do it.
So you're saying I should watch it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's coming for you and you can't fight it.
Oh dang, that sucks, man.
Like, it's not like you should go watch it. It's more like, I want you to know that this will happen to you. It's like a
So
curse.
this
Like,
sucks.
you're one day gonna wake up and be like, I mean, there's nothing else to watch. I can just turn this on and like do
That's
other
the
stuff.
thing. Oh
It's
my
gonna get
gosh.
you. It's gonna get you. It gets everybody. I don't know what to tell you.
That's very disappointing.
It
That's
is
very
disappointing.
disappointing.
But if
Because
you know it's coming, is it better? I don't know.
no, because it's
It's
just gonna
worse.
make me more mad. Because I'm gonna be
You're gonna be
like,
like, she was right. Oh, yeah,
that's
and that's how
literally
I felt. I was mad at Mike and Dagata because I was like, this is I don't want to like this show. I don't want to know what these jokes are about, but now I do.
I'm getting to the stage where there's nothing on, which is what made the Good Place so sad because I had something and I
Mhm.
would watch it so many times I didn't even know what season I was on. I can't. Ah, Jesus crackers.
I know. I'm just.
Season
It's
two.
kind
I
of.
can't. I can't talk about that. You make Seinfeld sound like agent. Um, can't do it, but I gotta do it. So
I'm not. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying like
I'm girl. I'm gonna get old unless I
it's
die.
coming. It's coming. It's gonna get you. It gets all
Oh
of
boy.
us.
Speaking of the bad place, um, when they
This
snuck
is
in,
the bad place.
this is the
That's
bad
what.
place.
That was one. Oh my goodness. That just. Oh, that just gave me memories. So in the lead up to the Olympics, it was COVID. We all had to live on site at the training center, and I had a roommate, Annie Coons, heptathlete. She just absolutely dominated that year. Scored like 6,700 points at trials to win and make the team. But I was trying to get her to watch The Good Place to counteract all of the Real Housewives shows that she was getting me to watch. So I was like,
That's
let's watch something. Let's watch something that I like. That whatever.
a great
And I
idea.
got her to watch all the way through the first season.
Okay.
And stuff. Life at the training center during COVID was just awful. Like you couldn't go anywhere. Like there were all these restrictions. Like management at the time was making questionable decisions. Like you were just constantly around the same people all the time. Like you were just constantly frustrated. Like all that sort
Oh
of
yeah.
stuff. Um, and Annie and I, when we would get frustrated, would just one of us would turn to the other after a bad day and be like, "This is the bad place." Like talking about the training center, like this is the bad place. And I still remember at Olympic trials, I had qualified or I had gone the day before. It looked like I was going to make the team based on like world ranking points and stuff. And Annie basically had to win or like be in the top three to make the team. And then she did, like she crushed it, like she did great, did all this good stuff. And I remember she was walking out of the tunnel from underneath the stands and I saw her. And I gave her this big hug and I was like, congratulations. And she like pulled back and she goes, this is the good place. And it was so funny
I,
for her to like reference this TV show, like scream it in my face. And I was like, it is the good place. Like we both made it. Because we had so many moments that year, just like it was, yeah, just where we were like talking each other off the ledge, like we can do this, like we can make this team.
this is the
Um,
good place.
but she was like, this is the good place. It was so funny and so perfect in that moment. But yeah, there were multiple times at the training center where we were like, this is the bad place.
Oh, I feel that like every time, like now that you told me about Seinfeld, I feel like saying this is the bad place.
Well, that's like
It's like one in the bad place, and when they were like torturing people, like and everything. That's what it sounds like it would be.
well, that's like so in 2016, um I logged into Facebook one day and I had this giant notification on my Facebook that I like couldn't log in, like it wasn't letting me do anything. I was like, that's weird, but whatever, like I don't really need to be on this right now anyways. Um and then I like came back to it the next day and I had this notification that basically said, we apologize. Some Facebook pages had inadvertently been marked like in memorialization. So like
That's
basically
not
like
funny.
my Facebook page listed me as dead like the day before. Luckily, I guess no one looked at it and was like, "Oh, I guess Ari died." Um, but I like Facebook marked me as dead. So there's been this part of me that's like, am I is this a weird purgatory that I'm in? Because like pretty soon after that, like Donald Trump got elected president. Um, Like I like started making teams. Like I hadn't made a single team prior to me being Marquette on Facebook. Like I like all of this like weird stuff started happening where I was like,
COVID happened.
is this, am I in a medium place? Like
You're in a
what's
medium place.
am I
You're in a
I'm in
medium
a medium
place.
place. Like
That because
balance it out, right? Like
you are in the medium. Okay, so it's so weird because that's a tough question
right?
because here's why I say it's a tough question. No, you know what I think? I think you're in the bad place.
I'm in the bad place. Yeah,
I think
probably.
I think you're in the I think you're in the bad place. I'll tell you why.
Well, it's not as bad as I would have thought, I guess. So I'm doing all right. It's just
In season 1,
mhm,
remember, Eleanor gets brought there. Hi, Eleanor. Come on in. Welcome to
mhm,
the good place. And so
right.
they you pair them up with the soulmate and everything. And so you get this custom house and all this stuff. And granted, some of it was, paintings of clowns and all these things. And so when you screw up, you got like, fire breathing dinosaurs and flying shrimp and all those other things coming in. So that's the bad part. But then like the low-key good part was that you meet like your actual soulmate and like Chidi, and you start to be around people, and then it's like all of a sudden one day, and maybe it's this show, you're gonna realize like Eleanor at the end of season 1, they can't do anything to us because this is the bad place.
Mhm, mhm.
So you're in the bad place. You're
I'm
in the
in the
bad
bad
place.
place.
You're in the bad place.
All
You
right.
were
Well,
you were in the bad place, and then you went to Europe.
and then I went to Europe. Then I'm in the medium place.
And
The Europe
then
is the medium place.
Europe is is the medium place. I guess what? So what would be the good place? What would
What
be the
would be
good
the,
place in track and field?
let's see. Probably Australia or New Zealand. I'm only saying that because I haven't been there. I'm just gonna, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. The US is probably the bad place of track and field.
Oh boy. Wow.
Not the athletes and not the competitors and not like that sort of stuff, but just in terms of respect for the sport.
Oh, this is like the torture chamber.
Yeah.
Um when
The bad of the bad place.
this is the bad of the bad place. This is like that room that they put Michael in when they were gonna sentence him before Janet like bust everything open.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
is that is but then what is Hayward Field? The medium place? See, this
I'm
is
going to say
tough.
something that I might get canceled here. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's okay.
I don't love Hayward Field.
Okay. Cool.
I um I don't know. I think there's a lot of like it's sequestering the majority of track and field to this one tiny little town in Oregon that's really hard to get to,
They're
really
very hard to
expensive
get
to
to.
stay, price gouging. Um, most of the fans, like, especially as a field event athlete,
Yeah.
um, it's not, I don't know, like they care about track and field, they absolutely do. Um, but they almost have to because they've taken that title upon themselves and they don't want to lose it. But if you really cared about the sport, you'd want to grow it and you'd want to share it and you'd want it to be more accessible to other people. And I think like the new stadium is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
But it looks so out of place in this little neighborhood. Like it's just an affront to
that's
nature.
that's a really interesting way to
It's
put
like
it.
it's just like a spaceship came down and landed, and they're like, "We're gonna have track meets here," and you're like, "What? What, what is happening?"
It when I first went like when did I go? 2021 to the pre-classic because I was covering the meet. I had never been there. And so I had no idea what to make of Eugene. So you go in there and it's like, oh, okay, well, all these hills and crap, that's, the University of Oregon. So we're staying in a hotel like right across the street. I think it was a Best Western.
Mhm.
Right across the street. Literally, it's a straight shot to get to the stadium. So I walk and I'm like, okay, this is nice. This feels like a college. And then boom. And so it's like, okay, it felt like the stadium, like you said, is drop dead gorgeous. But it's like when I was playing high school football and when you played high school football, it's like you
Mhm.
drive like to a school, you go to the back, and then there's the football stadium and everything. It's a little bit like that. And it's funny, like the football stadium is like way back there somewhere.
Yes. The
It's
football
like
stadium's like in Idaho. Like it's so far away from everything else.
we went on the trail. Well, they ran, I walked. And I was like, where are we? Like, this is like different. It's like, what's that big old thing over there? It's like, oh, that's Austin Stadium. And I was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, it is so funny. Like, you ask people, because, as an Ohio State fan, this is the year Oregon beat Ohio State. I was in the store. It's like, y'all gonna have a good football team this year. Wait, really? I was like, don't you pay attention? No, I don't know. I didn't know we were that good. I was like, you're ranked like eighth in the country. What you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
oh, we just pay attention to, we have running and stuff like that. I didn't know we were that good. I was like, dang. It's like a top 10 team in the country doesn't know that you have like a top 10 football squad.
Yeah. I and I do appreciate that, like that they are so invested in track and field. I think some of it was because like as an athlete, like they walk you through the stadium and like you see all the stuff underneath. And um I think I just rebel a little bit against what's it
You're Eleanor Shellstrop, just
like
and
things like ostentatious like displays of wealth. And I just like I was everything I walked by, I was like, why? Like why do you need this? Why is this here? Like you don't like there's like you would just be walking by and then there's just like a Gatorade machine like installed into the wall. You're like, what is this? Why is this here? Like what are we like just everything was so I realized that doesn't sound that crazy, but it was very startling because you're walking underneath the stadium and all of a sudden there's just stuff
everywhere.
like I just everywhere. And I don't know. I think I like I don't know, maybe I'm too concerned about like wealth disparity or something. But I just that's all I could think of is I was like, wait, you guys spent so much money on this stadium and it's in this tiny little town and it's so hard to get to. And I just
You're saying like the money could have been like used to help people get in there and to stay
right,
there
or
until
like and not even just for world championships. And I don't know. Yeah,
so
I don't
you
know.
shouldn't get canceled. You should not get canceled because
It's
everybody's
okay if I
entitled.
do. Like I've accepted that yeah, I'm
I
willing
know
to be the bad guy in some of this stuff. That
I
doesn't
know
bother
you
me. But
I know you don't care. And here's the thing. I think that your point kind of goes to just the general feel of college athletics. And just I was talking with somebody the other day, and we came to the conclusion that the best job in the United States or in the world is not the president, it's not a president of a CEO or anything. You need to be a fired football coach.
oh, absolutely. What's the guy
Matt
that just
Matt
got
Rule.
fired?
Matt Rule. Matt Rule from Carolina. And he's looking for college, like their college is interested in him. So
He's the one that
40
he $44 million for the next
four
8 years or
it's
something
between 40 to 48 million not to coach.
to do nothing.
To do
And
not he
he's still
doesn't
looking for a job.
I don't know if
And
he's
again,
looking, but I know like some of these colleges that are missing coaches are like, oh, let's go get Matt Rule. Let's put 20 million. So I'm like, think about it. You get that's $68 million plus, you get incentives and all that stuff. Honest to God's truth, sometimes I thought about it the other day. It's like, I coach football for a little bit. Maybe I need to, and just like be good for like 2 years get a bag, as the kids would say,
Yeah,
purposely suck for like the next year or 2 years,
absolutely
just
tank. Yeah.
and just tank and just just get fired and move somewhere and be set. So
Be
I
set
think
for
like your frustrations are kind of, towards like, why are we, we're putting almost $1 billion into stadiums, into facilities, and it's not to say you don't need, good facilities, up to date facilities, but you're saying, you can have those things, but that money could be used for a lot more that could impact the
many
community.
so many different things, or impact the community positively,
Yeah,
or it's something that the community can use on a regular basis that's accessible to them.
yeah. I don't think you're a bad guy for saying that, because that's a conversation people are having.
Well, and
I,
that's they Eugene hosted so many events this year
I think 6 or 7. Yeah.
yeah, that I was reading some article, I think during World Championships, because the turnout at USA's was really bad. And all of us were like, ooh, this is maybe not gonna be good. But it became clear that like if you're in Eugene and you want to go to a track meet, like the ticket prices are expensive. Like you kind of have to pick which ones you want to go to. So you can't go to all of them. And there's certain ones that everyone wants to go to. And
Yeah.
just just exhaustion from constant events. Like
I
I know why they're hosting all of them because they're trying to get their money's worth out of this multi-million-dollar stadium. But I, ugh, I don't know.
I was having this conversation the other day, and this is going to be posted Wednesday, which means the episode that I'm referring to was posted on Monday. We talked about how can we grow the sport, because the athletes, it was a conversation on Twitter between Carl Lewis and I think it was Aaron Brown, Canadian sprinter, and he was
Mhm.
saying, and we'll talk about this. One more question on the good place, and then we'll wrap this up because I only have one more
Okay.
chicken wing left. But this ranch,
Okay. Me too.
I honestly might drink this ranch. But he was, he was saying, he was the person I was chatting with, Dante Perkins. We just kind of talked about, hey, the athletes need to unionize and all this stuff. But one of the things we talked about, and I know everybody has different, opinions and feels on that.
Mhm.
And this is not just a Eugene thing, I would say this for the Drake relays, I would say this for the Penn relays, I would say this for any, stadium and stuff like that. For USA's, even NCAAs, you got a lot of empty seats,
Mhm.
but you got a lot of track clubs around the United States who aren't going to get, who do not know that there's life in this sport outside of high school
Or outside of college,
or
even.
outside of college.
Yeah.
What better way to grow the sport than to just say, you know what, let's budget $1 million, because we know they got it.
Mhm.
Whether it's like I said, whether it's the Drake, whether it's Oregon or Drake or Penn Relay, something. Let's budget X amount of money, and let's send a few groups up here for a day, just a day and a half tops. Hotel, meal, you get a ticket and everything. Everybody gets a ticket, and they get to watch you. They get to watch Noah Lyles. I mean, we saw Sha'Carri Richardson lost the race in New York, but there were like 100 kids lined up to see her
Right.
and stuff. And so people don't know. You, watching a throwing competition in person is a lit. I encourage anybody to do it, because it gets as lit as some of these on track events. But you get the opportunity, for kids to be like, okay, this is something I can do, and then you start to invest more. And I think that could be a generic way to use something you said can benefit the community. Well, let everybody see this stuff, because your average Joe or Sue may not have the funds to go to Eugene, and they may
No.
not have the opportunity or to, go to, Penn relays or some of these other prestigious, tracks, go to Drake Stadium. and see some of these top runners, they may not have that opportunity to do so. Heck, you could probably get into into a football game in some of these places cheaper than you can get into a track meet.
Well, and part of it too is so one of the things I can't find the article anymore, but I know that I read it somewhere. Basically, ESPN saved college football back in like the 80s, early 90s. College football like didn't have really any revenue, and ESPN was this like up and coming fledgling network that was like, we got to show stuff, like how can we like make money and all that sort of stuff. And they decided that the pony they were going to ride was college football, and they dumped all of this marketing money into college football and helped turn it into what it is today, which is just this behemoth of a
It's
moneymaker that's just taken on a life of its own. But it's
oh,
simply because a network was like, we are going to sell this. This is going to be our product. This is what we want it to be. And they figured out a way to market it and make it watchable, essentially.
yeah,
Like they did a really good
yeah.
job of making it fun to watch, making it easy to follow, that sort of stuff. They do such a disservice in track and field with like the camera angles and the way that they like do storylines and all that sort of stuff. And I know that at a track meet there's so much stuff going on anyways, but it's kind of this combination of, it's this perfect storm of, I feel like everyone wants to say now that they have ADHD when really they just have an addiction to dopamine and they need constant hits by looking at their phone all the time. But that's why American football is so great, right? Because you can watch a play and then you can pick up your phone, and you can watch a play and you can pick up your phone. Um,
And you can comment
but
and be the
and you
first
can
one to.
comment on like that play that was terrible or that was amazing, or like what a catch, like live tweeting a game, like I'm sorry, I don't care about your thoughts on this athletic achievement.
Oh, that was cold because I
Personally,
had to do that for a job for a living. So, they
I'm
made me
sorry.
do that. I gotta check.
I'm
I know you
sorry.
don't care. I know. Listen, Eleanor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I we offended you. But go ahead with what you gotta
I'm
say.
rude and I'm the villain. That's all it is. Um, but with track and field, there's so much going on that if you did it correctly, you could bounce around and keep people so engaged that they don't have time to pick up their phones. And some people aren't
Yep.
going to like that, but also if you can create a way to make it so engaging that people aren't picking up their phones during commercials, which is really how people make their revenue anyways.
Mhm.
And then like with the shot put, like don't show me the guy spinning in the circle, the shot put randomly in the air, and then it falling to the ground. Especially same thing with javelin or
Oh yeah.
discus or hammer. Don't show me the person, then show me the implement in the air with no context,
Exactly.
and then show it landing like without, because that's the thing that's so crazy about watching like the discus or the javelin is, if you're in person and you see how far this thing is actually going, you're like, holy crap, like that's so far. And it's such a disservice the way that it's shown. And the same thing with track, like if I'm just like on the line of people and just like watching them run together in a line, I don't, unless someone's just like really absolutely pulling away from everyone else, I don't have any context for how fast that is.
You know what's frustrating about what you're saying that is so accurately accurate? They did it in 2019 in the 4x1 when Noah Lyles got the baton and he created
Mhm.
separation from Great Britain. They have the camera that's to the side, that's along the side of the track. They
Yeah.
showed that angle. And to see his foot speed and his turnover,
Yeah.
it would make you dizzy. It will make you stop
He's so
comparing,
fast. He's so talented.
especially his second. It makes you appreciate the second half of the race. I only
Mhm.
seen that one other time, and that was with Usain Bolt, and that was crazy. Um, because you see how fast they get out, but then you see how fast he goes,
Well, and
and
that's
everything.
what, and
And then with the go,
this is gonna sound crazy too. And like, um, I think one of the things that's crazy about like football, right? When like people take off and they're like on a tear, like you can conceptualize how fast they're moving because literally you have markers on the field that give you
Mm.
context for how quickly they're covering ground. And now I'm not saying you should put 10-meter marks everywhere on the track, but
But
like if you're
something.
going to continue to shoot the same way, you got to give me context for how fast someone's covering ground because just like a track and then people running together tells me nothing.
And then the overhead view does nothing for me.
Right.
It,
Right.
it may
Yeah.
it may show like it's a little, the distance is a little wider, but that's it. With the throws, I remember they only did it once. They did it in the discus, and it was with Valerie Allman. Her spin is and her release is majestic, and they got it wasn't a straight, like they were shooting it just from the back of the ring. They actually angled it to the right. The reason that was important was because you could see her release, but you could see the flight of that discus and how she just just launched
Nailed
that
it.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, boy, oh boy, because when you watch well, if you can find what's showing the javelin, because part of the problem, I've said it 1,000 times, when they show coverage of the throws, the storylines are just so incomplete that I think that the person is losing when they actually are winning. So
Well,
you
and
can't tell.
there's
And
so
then
many commentators that don't know what they're talking about. And that was one of the cool things that they did at World Championships this year
Trey Hardy, yeah.
is Trey Hardy did a really good job. Like he is definitely a student, like he knows the events, like he basically threw all of them except for Hammer. And then he like knows the athletes, like he's not too far removed, but he like tries to learn about the athletes when he talks about them. But the one that I really liked was Chase Ely commented or did the commentary for the men's shot put.
Mm.
And she was able to talk through like technical stuff and give context for like, oh, he kind of dumped out of the back. And so like that's why that one didn't go as far, as opposed to if you don't have a trained eye or someone with you that has a trained eye to tell you why something's going the way it is, sometimes it's confusing. Like I
Right.
remember we were watching women's discus for Prefontaine at my house, and I was watching with my roommates who are track people but aren't disc or like don't know the throws very well.
Right. Right.
And even they were like, what am I looking at, like what am I like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know that's going to be a good one? And I'm like, what you want to watch for is like the where when their left foot comes down, like where is the discus, and that will tell you like how much power they're going to be able to get out of that. Like just look for that like one thing. And once they could look for that one thing, they were like, oh, like that was a good one, and then it was a good one, and like it became like more fun to like become a student of the event.
Oh yeah.
But if you don't have someone walking you through that who's
You don't know what
knowledgeable
you're
about
looking
it,
at.
right? So I don't know.
And they do you guys dirty in the javelin because it just makes it look like you just like there's a little hip hop song. Look at the flick of the wrist
Yeah,
because it doesn't
yeah. They're like,
because
oh,
it
and it
doesn't
landed. Okay.
because it's like you release, and that's why it's like an angled version from the back of the area in which they're throwing, like a northwest or angle where wherever they're releasing. Because I'm not so interested. Obviously, it's impressive to see the front angle, you guys running up and throwing, like because you see, well, you hear it, you hear how hard your
The
foot
power
hits the
transfer,
ground,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, my knees. Like that's why I hate that part of the javelin. It hurts my knees. I'm like, oh, I need icy hot. Um, and then, but I would rather see, how you're extending the javelin, the release point, the launch point, your elbow, and you can still get the power, reference, but then you can see how far that javelin is actually going.
Well, I think you could do like two different angles, right? Like you could do, I think like watching the run up is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm biased because then I can like watch what they're doing and I have a pretty good idea of how that throw is going to go. But then if you put a camera, yeah, like 8 meters back, basically on not on that triangle that's back there, but basically 8 meters back off to the side, angled up like this,
Mm-hmm.
where you could see those last few steps, but then also basically see the trajectory of the jab from the ground, and then pull out so that you can
That's a
kind of
good angle.
see like see where the jav started from, and then you pull out or pan out real fast, and then you see the javelin in the context of the stadium or whatever,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that you get an idea of like how far it's actually traveling or how it's flying or like
I
that sort
like
of stuff.
that.
And that takes coordination, but that would be the best way to get kind of both of those things, which is like an up close and personal view of all of the power that just got put into that implement on the ground, immediately contrasted with the output of that power.
I think they should also bring back sports science,
Also,
breaking
that.
down, and then everything you said is true, and it puts commentators in a bad spot, um, because it's like now they're being forced to talk about something that this maybe not in their expertise, and now you have to try to build relationships and everything in such a short amount of time.
Mhm.
So long story short, do better and donate to our fund here at Lactic Acid. Last question, last wing, last question. It's kind of a double question. What is the prop that you would take from The Good Place, and what's the biggest lesson that you learned from
The
watching the show?
prop.
Any, whether it's a necklace, whether it's anything that they used in the show.
I'm gonna take Janet.
Okay. I will too. I
I
too.
Yeah, having my own personal Janet would be delightful.
Okay. That listen, that works because
Hmm.
that was my answer. I don't
It's
want
a good
anything.
answer. I think it's the only answer
Give
because
me,
Janet could get you any of the other props.
give me Janet or give me death.
Well, you're already dead, right? It's a good place.
That's true. So I'm in a bad place. Still give me
I've
death.
been marked dead on Facebook since 2016, so
I'm
this
not
is
gonna
the
lie.
bad place.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have let it fester for a few days, and then I would have logged back on and been like, "What's up, guys?" or something like that.
What's up, guys? Well, I don't. Yeah, I had no control over that. Facebook
Shout
was
out
just like, sorry.
Facebook. Oh, you haven't been active in a while. I think you're dead. Okay,
Oh,
bye.
yeah, that's probably what it was. They're like, you haven't logged in in a while. You're probably dead. Oops.
Yeah, nobody's gonna delete our app. You're gone. Bye bye.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson that you learned
From the good place.
from The Good Place?
From the good place. Um, Everyone has something to teach you.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. That was really deep.
Oh, sorry. I could do something funnier if that's better.
No, no. I mean, no. It was a great answer. What would the funnier one be?
um, that I too probably have a crush on a mailman if they were shaped like Cheaty. Cheaty in that mailman outfit. It's pretty good.
So your man crush Monday coming up would be William Harper Jackson.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, oh crap, he has a girlfriend. Never mind. So your prop would actually be the calendar.
Yeah, yeah. My prop would be the calendar of Cheaty as a mailman.
Hey,
Yeah,
okay.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, come on now. Available in the PDF, a JPEG, and obviously the actual
Perfect.
copy. I don't know.
Absolutely perfect.
Mine would be. That's kind of tough. I haven't even thought about that. Huh. Everybody has a struggle. Like there's a how do I say it? Like everybody. I don't know how to phrase it.
I mean, it could
That's
be
frustrating.
like give everyone grace or like
Yeah, because
something.
everybody, even if you think, oh, this is a crappy human being, it's like, no, they have a story. There's a there's a journey,
Mhm.
or something that they're battling. And so yeah, give everybody grace and hope and pray that they find the light.
Yeah.
And the second thing, bonus, I would say is I'm thankful that the actual good place is not like the real good place where they got tired.
Yeah.
Because you have like Lisa Kudrow suffering from like memory loss and everything.
Yes, that was such a hysterical way to like, because they're totally right. Like if you are in paradise and you get everything you want all the time, why wouldn't your brain just turn into goop? Right?
Basically.
You need challenges to grow, but I don't know. I just yes, I would agree.
Yeah. Um, and I don't know. What do you think happened when they walked through the door? Obviously, they slipped into disappearance. But did they like cease to exist? My recollection was they turned into spirits.
I think you just they like become part of the universe or something, I think was the takeaway that I got from it. Like they, as you know them, no longer exist, but there are parts of them that will be in everything now.
So like when Eleanor's spirit landed on the dude who, if you haven't watched the show, then I do not apologize because there's no excuse because I'm just giving the last scene away.
Yeah.
Um, when he threw Michael's mail in the trash, and then the spirit came on him, and then he did something good.
Well, luckily the good part of Eleanor landed on him. So like that little piece of like, oh,
Well, remember there was no bad part because she was in the good place.
I mean, there probably was still a little bit of a bad part. Like no
Okay.
one's perfectly good to get into the good place, I would argue.
Oh well, no,
Or like different parts of her character, right?
that's fair. That's fair.
How about that?
That's fair. That's fair. She got the.
Like, what if like one of those specks had come and landed on him? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get a margarita now. Like that could have still been part of Eleanor, right? Like that decision, like that move, like that. uh
Or he
You
could
know,
have
you get
turned into
like
a mailman or something like that.
right or I don't know.
I don't
Hard
know.
to say.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, Ari, I thank you for taking time out of your busy life to chat with me on The Good
Hey,
Place.
thanks for giving me an excuse to eat wings. You know, anytime you're like, hey, let's have some wings, just let me know.
Honestly, this is the good part. This is the good place.
This is the good place.
This 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 is the good
This is
place.
the good place.
This is the good place. How was the wings from what is it called? Something
It was called
wing
Wings Only.
wings
Um,
only.
I'm gonna give them like a
I don't
7
want
out of 10.
7 out of 10. So
7 out of
we'll
10. The
okay.
wings were good. I was disappointed in the flavor not being spicy. Like jalapeno lime, it was listed as hot.
Ugh. You didn't
I Did you see me sweat? I'm not
no,
warm at all.
no. And you have a
It's just
sweater on and everything like
I
that.
know.
Oh man. So I'll tell you what, I was gonna say we'll have you on again to do Seinfeld, but that's you know, I may be in the actual good place by the time that happens.
You know what? I love talking to you, but I hope that episode never comes.
It will not come. I'm gonna fight it.
I'm
I'm gonna
worried that
fight
it
it.
will. I'm just everyone Seinfeld will find you wherever you are. I think
No,
that's
it
what happens.
won't. Do not believe the lie. You can
I I want you to know that I was in your exact same position 4 months ago, and here
okay.
I am finishing season 9. So I
So
don't.
she's a cracker. What? So all this tells me is that Europe is the bad place, and I don't need to go over
We thought it was
there.
the medium place, but it's the
We thought
bad
it was
place.
it's the bad place.
All right,
It's
that's fine.
it's you know what Seinfeld is.
What's that?
It is like it's Derek. Seinfeld is Derek, and you need to just erase all anything that is like the Janet inspired Derek uh and stuff. So yes, but we will have a Javelins edition headed into the season in a
Okay.
couple months. Yes. To start up, let's do that to start off the new year. Because we can only again, I know some people are like, oh, let's do this every week. No, 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 no. There's something called cholesterol that a brother is trying to watch. And so these only pop off twice a month. So we will either the holidays or right in the new year. I'm gonna have Ari on. We will indulge in wings. We'll talk javelin, and we will give some more hot takes about how to grow the sport and everything. So
Okay.
yes, that's what we will do because Ari is a fan favorite, and like I said, the coolest person I've ever met. So you know where to follow me, Ari. Where can they follow you? I know you're on
Uh,
Instagram.
yeah, I'm on Instagram as Ariana Ince. I'm the only one. So you can find me there. My Twitter is Ari Ince, but with one I.
Yes.
And Twitter is mostly just things that I see out in the world. So if you want to know what's happening on my, let me give you a tweet example. Um, I was there was a woman sitting in front of me on the plane, and the flight attendant asked her to take something out of her bag so that it would fit in the overhead bin. The thing that she took out was a waffle maker.
Were you flying Spirit or something?
I was not. I was on a real airline.
What airline?
I
How do
believe
you
I was on.
get through security with
I
a
don't
waffle
know. I
maker?
don't know. I don't know. But I think
How do you have so many questions? Shout out
I
to Spirit.
I
I didn't mean
had
to
so
diss
many
Spirit,
questions
but
and no one else around me was paying attention. And I was like, this woman literally just pulled out a waffle maker on an airplane and no one is batting an eye. Like, why are we not reacting to this? So that's mostly what my tweets are, is me just being observant out in the world and wondering how people live their lives.
I don't know if this is the bad place. This is the
It's
bad
a
place.
bad place.
This
I
is the
want you to
bad
know that
place.
it's the bad place. You're right. I definitely died in 2016, and this is the bad place.
Yeah, so if you go on Facebook, you can't friend her there because she's not here. She's in the bad place.
I'm in the bad
Um,
place. So yeah.
I need to I need to not fly the airline because that's security. How do you bring a waffle maker
I don't know.
and
I
not
mean, I
get
guess
stopped?
there's,
Listen, I got stopped in Eugene and I think Salt Lake for bringing more than 8 ounces of hand sanitizer, and she brings in a carry-on and she brings a waffle maker. Oh boy. Well, listen, if you go hungry, then I would have, I don't know, she'd have
I,
been making
I
chicken
do
and
not know what to
waffles
tell you.
on the
It was,
plane.
it was a strange experience.
You
Yeah,
teleported, so you turned into Michael when he was on Earth, just observing people.
yeah. Just like,
Texting,
wow, you're just living your life, huh? Like you're an adult. Like you make decisions.
yes,
You vote. You like go out in the world and like
bring a waffle
you
maker
can
on planes.
procreate. Like you, I just,
Ari, I can see you like the person be like, be there in 5 minutes, and then you take a nap like Michael does, something like that. That's
no,
me.
I'm pretty prompt. I try to be on time for stuff because time is
Yeah.
important.
Well, I was actually a minute late, so I apologize because I was trying
Yeah,
to
I
get
was
my
here,
money.
so don't put that on me.
No, I didn't say that. Remember in The Good Place when Michael didn't like people and he would say, "Be there in 5 minutes" or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So, yeah. So you got. I, I'm actually speechless. Like I I have so many questions.
I
And
do too.
I do hope the security gets shored up at that airline. Um, unless you can bring waffle makers on planes. So I mean you can bring
Man,
snakes on planes and they made a movie about it. So I guess you could bring waffle makers on planes too.
I'd
Uh if you
I'd
want
rather be a waffle maker than a snake personally, but
that's true, because I can make waffle sandwich with the free peanuts they give you. If you want something dull and unfulfilling, follow me on social media at Lactic Acid _ pod on Instagram. I'm sorry, on Twitter, Dom Smith _ news on Twitter. That's a little bit more fried chicken friendly. And then on Instagram, we are Lactic Acid Podcast. If you have ears and you like podcasts and you want to listen to them, follow Lactic Acid on anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Leave a nice review. It helps the algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. And in the words of Michael from The Good Place, keep it sleazy. See you guys.